Hello Internet, and welcome to a new tutorial. I don't really remember when was the first time I heard about phase alignment. It was surely right before COVID, 2018 or something like that. And by that time, it wasn't as much of a big deal as it is today. Today, at least from the way I see things, it's becoming more of an obsession with a lot of wrong information and myth about it, just like gluten. So in this tutorial, I want to talk about phase alignment, demystify it, discuss why we do it, and show you, of course, how to achieve it. By the end of this tutorial, don't forget to thank my nerdy alter ego for the hours he spent experimenting and researching this subject by leaving a like, a comment, or by becoming a Patreon, or even better, by one of my masterclasses or preset packs on my Gumroad. Before we start this tutorial, I want to thank Alter of Wisdom for sponsoring this video. Alter of Wisdom, for those who don't know him, is a French developer that makes these awesome Max for Life devices that just makes our life easier. Take for instance MultiOscillo device I'll be using in today's tutorial. It's an oscilloscope that syncs to Ableton's grid bypassing Ableton's bad PDC, meaning no matter how much plugin you will put on your bass channel, no matter how much latency you will generate, the waveform you're saying will stay on the grid. So go ahead and check out his work. I'll leave a link down in the description, and thanks again for sponsoring this video. So why do we phase align the kick and the bass? If the first answer that comes to your mind is better sound quality or any similar answer, well, that's kind of wrong. See, of course we do it for better sound quality, but the main reason behind it is actually headroom. A well-phase aligned kick and bass doesn't have those spikes in volume when the tail of the kick is playing with the first note of the bass that will trigger the compressor for no good reason, meaning we'll get a louder, punchier, in-your-face kick and bass without even touching the volume fader. That's a win. So let's take the kick and bass of this track as an example. By the way, everything is in G sharp and it sounds like this. Pretty basic yet fat kick and bass as we like it. Now let's take a look at the scope to see what's going on. So here I have MultiOscillo from Alter of Wisdom. I've already loaded the ping device in here. We need this ping device to synchronize the oscilloscope device. And by the way, we have this lovely floating window, as you can see. By the way, the device is pretty straightforward. We can monitor up to 3 tracks and we can see the sum of the 3 tracks or only 2 of these tracks. I already have the kick and bass in here. I've set them to post mixer, so we'll see the actual volume levels of these tracks. Now let's take a look at what's going on here. Let's freeze things. As you can see, by the way, we have freezing option in here. We can change the width of the lines and we can zoom on the y-axis. We can do it while in freeze, and we can change the synchronize mode. We can go up to 8 bars, but let's keep it on 1/4. This is my sweet spot. See, what's going on with these spikes in here is that, first of all, we're interrupting the movement of the membrane of the subwoofers. If we're in a big system or whatever speaker we're using, the membrane, you know, it's going back and forth. And with these spikes, we're interrupting the way the membrane is moving. And the second thing that will happen is, in the case of this kick, it's okay, but sometimes these spikes will exceed the volume level. See, this is the maximum volume of the kick. Well, they will exceed these points in here. And thus, what will happen is that when you will compress, and at a certain point, there will be compression either in the mixing stage or in the mastering stage or in both stages. So what will happen is that these spikes, they will trigger the compressor, and thus we won't get the results that we're looking for from the compressor, and we will probably end up over compressing to compensate for these spikes, basically. So to fix that, the first thing that we will do, and as I told you in my kick tutorial, if you didn't watch it, now it's the perfect time to watch it. I'll leave a link right in here. And what I'll do, I'll adjust this handle in here exactly as I showed in my kick tutorial, so it's going to align that cycle to the 0 crossing. Perfect. By the way, I don't know why Alter did this, but I would have hoped for, let's say, thicker lines for each beat. I mean, like, you know that this is basically a beat and this is a second beat, etc., etc. But I would have hoped to have like a maybe a thicker line in here, or much clearer interface, if that makes sense. Now, let's get that bass back and see what we have. We already have a much better result, but now we need to fix things in the bass line. And this is where things gets really interesting. Second step is on the bass channel. And what I did in here, I've introduced multiband processing to create phase distortion. Now, this phase distortion won't only give us a really nice rubbery character for the bass line, but it will also help us with the phase distortion it's creating perfectly phase align the kick with the bass line. So what I did in here, I have FabFilter Saturn 2. I've already created 3 bands in here. By the way, you can use any multi-band processing you like. I went with Saturn 2 just because it's straightforward and it has really good visuals, but you can go with whatever you like. And anyways, I have 0 saturation in here. Now, each of the bands is linked to one of these 2 macros in here, so it'll just give me better control over the crossovers. And now, what we're going to do, I'll take MultiOscillo, just like so. I'm going to solo the bass line, and we're going to create a shape kind of similar to a kick. Check this out. Something like this. Now we're going to add the kick. By the way, I've used only 1 FabFilter Saturn, but you can go with 2, even 3 if you like. Really, the only limit is your own imagination in here. As long as you're not ruining the sound and creating phase problem, it's completely okay. So let's add the kick now. See, we already have a way better cycle. Now we just need to adjust those crossovers to make it perfect, and we're all good. And to make sure that you've done work properly, always turn off the bass, take a look at the waveform of the kick, and then reintroduce the bass. And what we're looking for in here is to see the cycles of the kick basically untouched, like exactly at the same place. Check this out. So with the bass, of course, we will always have a boost in volume because they're cycling at the same frequency, so they will add up together. But when I'll turn off the bass, they're at exactly the same place. They didn't move to the left or to the right. Of course, now because of this multiband saturation that we've introduced, we've created this unwanted tail for the bass line, and there are many ways to fix it, like for example, adding compression. By the way, I've explained how to sidechain the kick and bass in my bass tutorial, so I'll leave a link for that right in here so you can watch it. But for me, the best thing to do in these cases is to just sample the bass line, put it in a sampler, and adjust the length of the sample inside of the sampler, so you'll get perfect results. By the way, these are the results we get with sidechain compression. You know, it's good, but we still have some of the tail in here, which is messing up with the kicks transient, right? So again, for me, best results, just put it in a sampler and make sure that the sample length is exactly 1 beat. Of course, best results comes with experience and knowledge, so never stop practicing and always keep on learning. Speaking of learning, if you want to support the channel, check out my masterclasses and preset packs on my Gumroad, or you can become a Patreon. I always post exclusive content over there alongside other goodies. And with this is the end of this tutorial. I really hope you've liked it. I really hope you've learned something new. See you in the next one.